Hi everyone, hello, hope you're doing okay. Happy Saturday. Yes, Chocobert's here, but you know what it's for? It's for live review. This time we got the milk and chocolate, milk and white, sorry, milk and chocolate, milk and white chocolate selection. Yes, from Lidl basically. It's under the brand Deluxe, I guess, because perhaps it doesn't quite look as as posh. If it says Lidl on the front, but you can see Lidl clearly on the back there. Yes, an interesting one, this one. But it looks very much in the style of well, it does look very much in the style of the Hotel Chocolat H Boxes, doesn't it, really? But, you know, very nice. Looks very interesting. There is two of these in the range. Now, this won the vote that I do every week. If you don't know, yeah, basically I publish a sort of poll to see what I'll review at the weekend, and this one won it. Yeah, so we obviously had a massive influx of chocolate selections before Christmas, and now it's dying down a bit, really. So, you know, there's... But you know, there's still a few things to review, basically, is the gist of it, and this is one of them. And also, there is a dark chocolate version they do with this as well. A delectable selection of decorated white and milk chocolate pralines with 6 indulgent assorted fillings. So again, we've got the warning sign there. They are all the typical praline type affair. Now you know what it's like. We've seen this all the time in these in these chocolate selections. Every single selection tends to have a majority of pralines or truffles, and they're both roughly, you know. The term can kind of be interchanged basically because they tend to be roughly the same thing. It just depends on the on the brand, I guess. So it's very much a sort of, I don't know if it's cheap and easy, but it's that's the impression I'm getting. The cheap and easy way to fill a chocolate, basically. You know, there's nothing special there. It's just a truffle, and you just flavour it differently. Is the gist of it. It's the way I can sort of work it out. And hi then, Drew. How are you doing? Yeah, how are you doing? Hope you're doing okay. Did you get? Have you got your results back yet? I guess perhaps not really. Perhaps it's a bit too soon, but. Well, you got the assignment done, so I'm glad it's out of the way and you can relax now, fingers crossed. Yeah, hope you're having a good Saturday. Yeah, so it looks quite an interesting one this one. As I say, now there is only 6 different chocolates, so maybe a shorter live today, because normally we've seen these live reviews with the chocolate selections have, you know, especially the H boxes ones, have maybe 8 different types, I think is the gist of it. Maybe some chocolate ones have 13 in the box, I think. Might have 15, but I think it's 13. Yeah, maybe it's 15. But anyway, they have that many in, but they only have 8 different types. But this one, generally, but this one's got 6, so a bit fewer, a bit less. So got the Royale, a milk chocolate cup filled with Royale ganache, or Royale ganache, pink topping with freeze-dried raspberries and a dark chocolate base, which sounds very nice. Does sound very nice. Dark chocolate mousse, indulgent dark chocolate mousse covered with white chocolate, decorated with milk chocolate drizzle and coffee flavoured flakes. Well, that sounds very nice, that one. The white chocolate one is always lip service when it's just covered in white chocolate, because it tends to be a very thin layer. But nonetheless, you know, white chocolate exists in that one. Speculoos, which seems to be more and more common these days. Milk chocolate cupcake filled with crunchy speculoos topped with caramel nuts and a white chocolate base. That shouldn't read too well, that one, but okay, interesting. That looks a bit of a typical one. We've kind of seen that one before, roughly. Salted caramel, well, they had to have a salted caramel in there. Decorated milk chocolate star bursting with salted caramel. Looks very nice, that one, actually. This one looks very good as well. Raspberry cheesecake, decorated with white chocolate filled with a fresh raspberry cheesecake filling. Well, that sounds very interesting. So they have done, you know, the flavours for the praline centre seem to be quite different, really, to an extent. So we'll see. You know, they might have done a good job with this. Hazelnut cream. Okay, well, we've got the typical one here. There's always one, isn't there? Well, usually actually have a few different hazelnut creams inside. So if I've only got one, is a good sign. But I guess, you know, maybe we'll actually have 3 of them, because there's probably 3 of each chocolate, perhaps, almost, anyway. Cream hazelnut filling in a milk chocolate cup with a white chocolate base. Okay, interesting. Yeah, the raspberry cheesecake one it does look very nice, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, to be fair though, on the you can see it here in the bottom right, it doesn't quite look as special as it does on the back. But it still looks quite nice, actually. I still quite like the look of it, even though it's a bit more minimalist on the back. And there's one upside down there, unfortunately, so I can't quite see what that one is. But they do generally look quite nice, actually. I actually think they're presented pretty well here. And I think they sound pretty nice. They don't just sound... I think they could have definitely made these a lot more boring, I think, you know, than they actually sound, you know. And I was saying last week, you know, when we did that Swiss chocolate selection, they were so mundane, I felt, you know. Now, yeah, so Holly in the comments was saying actually that's kind of the point of them, and so yeah, so it could have been that one I completely missed the point of that one, but to me they were still quite, you know, I kind of replied to explain that I thought they were just still very mundane and very normal, well, less than normal really. I kind of felt I'd tasted them all before really, so but it could have been that I missed the point on those ones, but so I do concede that. But anyway, these ones in contrast sound very exciting. You know, as I say, and it's not really apples with apples. because obviously these aren't just Swiss chocolates, so you know it's not the same thing. But they sound very exciting. You know, so I'm optimistic about these ones. Yeah. So what's the actual description say? Have you had these ones, Andrew, by the way? I don't know if you've actually had these ones before. They're quite cheap as well, by the way, these ones. That's the other thing. Now, Hotel Chocolat Chocolates H Boxes are usually about £14. And these ones actually, I think they're about £4 at most, these ones. Maybe even £3. So very cheap, actually. I know Rick was saying I should really sort of put a rating on the price. Now, I kind of didn't want to in the end because I felt it's just too subjective and could change quite easily. And you know, I just thought, it's one of those. But these ones are pretty cheap, has to be said. You could buy about 4 of these at least for one Hotel Chocolat box. So a selection of decorated white and milk chocolate pies with assorted fillings. It says, I think we've already seen this, but written slightly differently. Raspberry cheesecake fillings, spice biscuit fillings, salted caramel, Kiro ganache, chocolate mousse and hazelnuts. 34% white chocolate, 26% milk chocolate. Anything else of interest? 2% hazelnuts. It does have palm fat in there, palm oil type things. So there we go, bear that in mind. Anything else? Ground nutmeg. There's quite a lot in here, of course. I won't go through all of it, but there we go at the bottom. Ground cardamom. White chocolate contains milk solids 22% minimum. Milk chocolate contains cocoa solids 30% minimum. Milk solids 20% minimum. Dark chocolate contains cocoa solids 51% minimum. Now I'm not too sure yet. I've not quite twigged what milk solids I like in my milk chocolate yet. I mean, I know the ones I'm not. I need to make a note of when I find one a bit too milky, what the milk solids are. I've not picked that up yet, so I need to try and But I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know. Milk solids. I think it's like in the mid 20s to 30s. I think when it's a bit much for me, but I'm not sure as yet. Well, 51% dark chocolate. I mean, I basically find anything over 50, 60, well, anything above the 50s basically for dark chocolates, cocoa solids. I find a bit too much. So 51% sounds perfect to me if it focuses in. Yes, that sounds a good amount really. I think the 50s is the max for me generally. Yes, there we go. Yes. Yes. So Aldi have done their own range. We've seen in the past as well. You might have seen the previous live reviews I did, and did some Mosa Roth sort of equivalents basically. I think they were a bit more expensive and they had a bit more chocolates in them. So these are sort of like I guess you'd say, they look perfectly fine, but I think these ones have got less selection in them, less amount of chocolates, and they're cheaper as well. So but nonetheless, they still look very nice. You not tried this box? Yeah, nobody ever tried this box. I have the Aldi ones, not Lidl ones. I actually didn't know Lidl had an equivalent until recently. Yeah, well, yeah, me neither actually. I didn't see them when I've next been in. I saw them when I went in today. I saw them, I think last time I went in a couple of weeks back. So I don't know whether they've. It's one of those where you know what it's like with Lidl. They might have them in one week and not the next. So I don't know whether they've gone for good or they'll be back soon. I'm not too sure. I tried to look on the website actually, but the website was pretty. Well, I couldn't find a search button. So it's pretty terrible, really. I'm sure there must be one, but I couldn't find one. I couldn't even find a chocolate section. It had like what did they call it? Like a food cupboard section or whatever. But it was all baking material, baking stuff. So it had chocolate, but it was baking chocolate. So it's a very poor website, really. So I don't know. It could have been. I don't know what it is. I know Asda sometimes have a front end website, and then you go into the grocery one. So I don't know if it was like that or not. I'm not sure, but I couldn't find it anyway. And I did search specifically for this as well. In Google, but there we go. All right, so very interesting. Looks very nice. Is there anything I've missed on the back? Got fair trade there going on. Let's see. What's it say? Fair trade. Yes, fair trade. Little address. Recycle information. Yeah, I don't think there's much more. I don't think I missed. Did I say the calories? I don't think I did actually. 100 grams, 563 calories, 37.3 grams of fat, 20.3 which are saturated. So above the usually are chocolate selections, but it's above the 500 to 550. Scale threshold at 100 per 100 grams that chocolate generally seems to have, or chocolate bars, I've noticed. And per 1 praline, 12.3 grams, 69 calories, 4.6 grams of fat, 2.5 of which are saturates. So yeah, so quite, well, 69 calories, so you might have about 5 of them. So what's that, 350 calories, is it? Something like that, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so there we go. Right, okay. Yeah. Well, I think we should get into these, have a look at them. Now, there should be a card in here, so I'll probably take a screenshot of the card. Or maybe you might take a screenshot of this, actually. It might be an easier one to do. So I might just take a screenshot of that so we can reference it. Let me just have to maneuver the keyboard to do it. Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just screenshot this and I can put it up in the corner. We'll need it to focus. Okay, that seems quite good. All right, so I'll just so I am still here. I'm just doing computery nonsense. So it'll be a moment. Right, now it won't be a perfect. I mean, it won't be perfect this, but it'll be good enough. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see. You probably see me do this every week anyway, so you know what to expect by now. Right. Okay, let's have a look. And as if by magic, yes. There we go. Right, there we are. Perfect. So there we go. We can reference that at any time. A bit light, as you can see. It's got the brightness of the lights on it, but there we are. Right, good stuff. Yeah, Lidl's website's notoriously awful, right? It wasn't just me then. I often wonder whether I'm being too fussy sometimes, but yeah, right. Well, yeah, I didn't want to use the word awful, but I wasn't impressed. So let's put it that way. It doesn't show many of the products. There's no search bar, right? So it didn't have a search bar. The Arduino is best only recently. The Arduino used to be just as bad. Yeah, bizarre that, isn't it? Why would you not have a search? It's the first thing you should really have. Because if someone comes to your website, what are they most likely want to do? Search for something, you know. I mean, okay, you could look through everything or whittle it down by section, but even then, there's loads of products in the supermarket. So, yeah, pretty poor that. Especially nowadays. I mean, maybe 20 years ago, and I literally mean 20 years ago, that might have been... and even then, I think you'd still expect a search option. So, very odd. So you notice we've got the pizza sort of exclusive member review threshold at the bottom left. Yeah, so we did go back up to 7 members. I kind of was a bit, I don't know, we lost a couple of members, but then they've come back basically. I think just Christmas people, obviously want to, not splurge out on unnecessary things and stuff like that. But yeah, so basically, yes, Mark McKinley and Noah Booker came back as well, so that's great. Thanks so much both of you, by the way. Really, really massively appreciated. And all the other members, of course. Yeah, so always a bit worried about always worried I'll forget people. Stephen Saunders, Harmony Artificiosa, Scotty, Alan Lockhart, Sam Matson as well. Thank you so much. Don't think I've forgotten anyone. Apologies so much if I have. Yeah, so thank you so much. Yeah, really massively appreciate all your help there. Now we do have as well a little bonus. So as you probably will know, there's a competition going on at the moment to open a cream egg. And if you basically get one that's half white, half milk chocolate, you'll win a prize. Now the prize apparently can depend on where you've bought it. I assume different stores have different barcodes. There's a code in it, presumably. Yeah, so so basically, I think this one's an Iceland bought one. So this isn't eligible for the £10,000 prize. I think this is only eligible for £1,000. So I bought 2 from Iceland. The rest of them I bought from Tesco, which is eligible for the £10,000 prize. But I think it has the Tesco, Morrison's, possibly Sainsbury's, but and Asda and Tesco for sure. Definitely have the 10k prizes in there. So you have to look online, I think, just to check. Is the gist of it, so you can buy them from one shop thinking you're in line for the £10,000 prize, and you might not necessarily be, apparently. Okay, right, well, I think without further ado, so I'll open this at some point during the, maybe halfway through, maybe at the end, maybe in 5 minutes, who knows. Right, so let's give this an open. I'll zoom down, so move down so you can see it as I open it. So let's have a look. Let's move the camera down. There we go. Right, so I've got some coasters in the way there, so we'll move those. Yeah, okay. Do have a drink just to one side here. So, yes, I do have that just in case. Yeah. Right, okay, right. Let's see. So it's a bit busy the screen at the moment, so probably just for all these overlays, but they just make it look a bit more interesting. So swings and roundabouts. All right, so let's see. I'll just make it a bit darker. Okay, there we go. Right, perfect. Okay, there we are. So it looks very nice, as I said before. I think the presentation on this actually is very nice. If you imagine just replacing this to say Hotel Chocolat, I don't think you'd think it wouldn't be at first glance. I really don't. I think you'd probably be quite happy with it. Now, on the side it does have this weird pattern, which Hotel Chocolat ones don't. So that is a bit of a giveaway. But generally, I think that looks pretty good. I don't think you'd think... you could be forgiven for thinking this was a very expensive set, really. Of course, the taste is probably what matters. Maybe, well, you could argue the ingredients. I think you're probably right to argue that. But yeah, at the end of the day, I think probably taste is the most important thing to an extent. Let's see if I can just cut this sellotape. Nice, probably not as sharp as it was. It helps if you use it properly. Right, there we go. So there was some tape holding it to the side. So I'll just cut that there. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so 3, 6, 9, 12. So there's 15 here. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, so pretty good amount actually. Pretty good amount. And as I said, they look very nice. I think these look really good. You can see there's very much a pink and white theme. Well, pink, white and brown theme, I guess you'd say. I think most of them have that. Unsurprisingly, have the brown at least. But there's definitely a sort of pinky red look to them all. I think that's good actually. I think that's good. let's see. Doesn't seem to be any card in it, but which I don't think is well. It's a bit of a pain because obviously you have to flip it over to see. Fortunately, we took a screenshot. Just check. There's no card underneath. Yeah, so there is no card. So you'd have to kind of, yeah, you know that. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against them as such, but obviously that is a bit rubbish. You can't tell what they are without flipping the box over or taking them out. So yeah, so there is that. It's a bit of a poor thing, but it is, as I say, a cheap set. So you know, because adding a card might. Well, I mean, you could have just had it printed it either there or something, or I don't know, on the back of the box as well. I don't really know, but obviously, I guess it does add more money to it. So you can see there's 15 chocolates here, but there is only 6 different kinds. So obviously 6 doesn't go into 15. So there's 1 of 6. So there's 2 of them that won't have 3 in basically. And we can clearly see this one is, yeah, probably this. Let's see, which one is it? Yeah, 6, 12, 18. Did I say 3 of them? Yeah, so these two is only 2 of those. Only 2 of them as well. 2 of those. Yeah, so I think it's 3 of them that only have 2 in. So yeah. 6, 12, 18, 15. Yeah, 3 of them. That's right. My maths was wrong. Yeah, so there's 3 of them. Don't have 3 of them. So which isn't too bad because in Hotel Chocolat, because they have like 8 different chocolates and they have 15 in the set. You know, there's a lot more that only have 1 in. Never mind just 2. So it's better that they've got 2 at least. I'm happy with that. So as I say, and the ones that have got 3 in look quite interesting as well. Maybe this one's an interesting one, but well, I don't know. Yeah, at first glance, I'm not disappointed. I think that's not too bad at all. Right, okay, so let's see. So what have we got? So probably, maybe we'll start in the top right, go round, you know, go round maybe. Raspberry cheesecake looks very interesting. Salted caramel, and they all look quite nice. But I think we'll start with the Kir Royale. I mean, you know, milk chocolate cup filled with Kir Royale ganache, pink topping with freeze-dried raspberry. It still sounds nice. I mean, Kir Royale sounds a bit like an alcohol-y one to me. And of course, this is the problem again. To see the bottom, I've got to take the thing off. And maybe I'll just leave it out. I don't think I saw it saying contains alcohol, but does it? I thought Kir is. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'm not really much of an alcohol fan. Doesn't seem to say it contains alcohol, but I have missed things like that before. It does say it contains 15 servings at the bottom, which is good. 185 gram box. And there's no little thing to say contains alcohol. There's no little warning message. I can't see it, so. Must be just flavouring, really. Yeah, must be just flavouring. Oh, hi there, Joe. Good to see you. Yes, good to see you. You're doing all right. Yeah, how's things today? Hope you're doing okay. Beautiful selection as well. Yeah, it does look very nice. We're just saying actually, it looks very, very nice. Looks a very sort of interesting. Just looks a nice chocolate set. It just looks very nice, like you say. So hopefully it's not just skin deep, but we'll see. So this is one we only have 2 of, the Kir Royale. Let's take it. It looks. I mean, you know. It's a bit of a strange one actually, taking it out. I'll just move these to one side because normally, move the chocolates away a bit, got more space. Now, normally these ones are very much, when you get these in Hotel Chocolat ones, they are just literally like a box. But you'll notice at the bottom of this one, it's got, I think this is perhaps where you can see maybe the quality is not quite there. Well, it's that bad, but it doesn't, yeah, the quality looks to only be on the top. If you look at it here, it seems to have a very sort of, yeah, normal bottom, and it's quite. I don't know what's happened to it at the bottom. I mean, it's. I don't know. Not sure what I think about that. I think because it's like got a lump at the bottom, like a sort of, you know, it expands at the bottom. Now I don't know. I can see they've added like chocolate to it, so I'm not sure. I don't know what to make of that. It's literally as if it's been on a conveyor belt or something. That's why it's not on the bottom, and it's sort of had it poured on it slightly, or it's and that's why it doesn't cover the bottom. So not sure what to make of that. I think it looks okay. I like the top, as I say. I think generally it's okay. I think it just lacks something in the bottom half of it somehow. But yeah, looks careful made. I like it. But yes, on the top, yeah, yeah, the bottom. It does look like it's not been quite as carefully. The attention to detail's lost a bit on the bottom, doesn't it, Joe? Yeah, you're right. An odd one that. Yeah. I don't know. I like the fact that they have done that. I don't know what it is though, really. I mean, what is that? Because you've got milk chocolate here. Is that just a darker milk or is that dark chocolate? Because this is a milk white selection, not a dark selection. So I guess they could technically. I mean, it does say it's got dark chocolate on the back actually. So yeah, I guess they have had a bit of dark chocolate. Let's just have a look at the description again. Milk chocolate cup, pink topping, freezer raspberries, dark chocolate base. Okay, yeah, there we go. So it is a dark chocolate base. All right, so could have been done better the base, but nonetheless, I think it's not bad. All right, okay. Let's give it a bit of a measure then. Let's get the calipers out. All right, so obviously it's going to be wide at the bottom for the reasons we've just mentioned, but roughly at the top it's about 9 points, well, yeah, about 3 centimetres pretty much. But right at the top it's a bit less, 2.9. At the bottom must be over 3 centimetres. Depending on where you do it, it's not quite straight, uniform, about 3.2 in some places. Yeah, well, about 3.2. Yeah, 3.1 in some places. Yeah, well, there we go. And the height, let's have a see. About 1.5, 1.6. Okay. Right, well, let's give it a bit of a chop then. Always a bit, don't like cutting these ones because the freeze-dried bits just go everywhere, but we've got to do it all the same, see what it's like on the inside. So let's do it. Okay. And that looks, I think even on the inside looks quite nice. I think that's well proportioned. Well, the dark chocolate clearly is very, there's the dark chocolate on the outside, there's not much of it basically. It's a very thin coating. To say it's got a dark chocolate base, I think is perhaps bending the truth slightly, or at least exaggerating it. I mean, there's a millimetre of dark chocolate in one place maybe. It's very, very thin layer that. Yeah, I'd struggle to say that's a dark chocolate base. I think if the bottom was dark chocolate, I think you could get away with it. But anyway, might add a bit of a taste. But generally, I think that looks okay. I think it's got a nice thickness to the centre. I think it's I've definitely seen chocolates that perhaps on the cheaper end have an overly big base of chocolate, to sort of get to stop to have less filling basically. And I think this one's not too bad. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that looks pretty interesting. I think we should give it a taste. So I'll lift myself up. I'll say basically, I'm not really sure what to expect to this one taste-wise. Actually, I know it's mentioned it, but I'm not. I must say, Kir and things like this, I don't really know. Is it a type of? I don't know. It sounds like it's an alcohol thing to me, but yeah, Royal Ganache, Kir Royale Ganache. Okay, I'll just adjust the brightness a bit. Get myself. There we go. Right, back on track. Okay, I feel like the cat. I've got a new tripod. I think I mentioned last week. The other one broke. Really poor design. Meant it broke when it shouldn't have done really. But anyway, yeah, I've got a new one. It's never felt quite as sturdy for some reason. It just doesn't quite seem as well made. I don't know, so I'm a bit worried about that. But anyway, it's working so far, I guess. All right, let's give this one a go. Kir Royale. Let's give it a taste. Well, not bad actually. It definitely feels like it's I don't know, pretending to have alcohol in, but in a good way for me, because when I have chocolates with alcohol in, they're a bit too alcohol-y for me. They don't quite. I'm not a massive alcohol fan, so that could be why. But they just tend to be a bit too. I don't know, have that too alcohol-y taste. Basically, it's too much. But these sort of faux alcohol ones actually taste quite nice because they just give you the slight hint of the alcohol. But generally, I think that most of Off selection from Aldi had just an alcohol one, but none of them, it wasn't really. I think it did have alcohol in it, but they were so weak. That's obviously where they'd save money. But it actually worked really well because they had all these random flavours that were really, really different, and it actually tasted really nice. It was actually a real breath of fresh air. And this one's a bit like that. It kind of follows that kind of, probably got it up in the top corner, haven't I really? But anyway, it follows that sort of same theme really. Got some really sort of nice flavours actually. I really quite like this. Now of course we do have first chocolate syndrome going on. We mustn't forget that. So the first one, you're always anticipating chocolates, you're ready for them. First one always tastes really nice because you just, you've not got sick on chocolate basically yet. So we have to bear that in mind. But I did prep myself slightly by having at least something to eat before I started, which I tried to do to make sure I'm not starving, where anything will taste nice. So I feel like I'm prepared. And yeah, I quite like this one. I think it's got a nice sort of mix of textures. I think the dark chocolate base, I don't know, it might have been there, it might not have been. I think the main taste was obviously the sort of fruity taste. What was it? Well, raspberries, yeah. It was there really. It wasn't too strong. I think it has the sort of raspberry sort of flavour. I mean, what do they refer to them as? This is what I keep looking at. I keep not actually reading it. Freeze dried raspberries. There we go. It was quite nice actually, but it wasn't too much. Sometimes you think it was a bit too bitty and might get in your teeth. It didn't do that at all actually. And I only had half of it, of course. Normally I probably eat the whole thing, but reviewing them, you've got to tone it back a bit. But I actually thought that was really nice. I thought the centre was nice. I thought the ganache centre was nice. I felt like it wasn't all the ganache. You know, when I first read this, I don't know if you missed it, but when I first opened the box, I was like, oh, they're all pralines or whatever. I would never have described that as a praline, really. I mean, not say it isn't one, but I certainly wouldn't have described it as one. It doesn't really describe it itself as one. On the back here it says Kir Royale Ganache. You know, milk chocolate cup filled with Kir. I mean, yeah, it just tasted really nice. And it did have like, as I said, there was like a, it doesn't really mention it. Well, I guess, hang on, the dark chocolate base, okay. I think the dark chocolate base is actually this middle bit here. I think that's what it's trying to say, not the actual bit on the surround. So maybe we can let it off because I don't know what else it could be. It's actually quite nice if it focuses in. It's actually pretty good, that. I think it was actually gave it a nice contrast, really. I mean, you couldn't, as I say, couldn't taste sort of like a solid dark chocolate, but I could taste like a mix of flavours, basically. I might just have to nibble the rest of this one, just to. I mean, it's quite a tart selection. I mean, I wouldn't really say that the bottom part stood out that much, but it's yeah, an odd one, really. I think they just complement each other quite well. I wouldn't say the bottom part really stands out, as in, because I'm not really getting much of a dark chocolate taste. I do mainly get the sort of tartness of the raspberry and that sort of, you know, faux alcohol taste, or maybe it does have alcohol in it. I couldn't see it on the back anyway, but whatever it is, you know, really, I'm not getting much of a dark chocolate hit from this, I must say. Nonetheless, I think it's quite nice. I think it looks nice. I think the textures are quite nice. And as I say, if it didn't have the dark chocolate, then maybe it would be slightly different, but I'm not sure. I feel like the you mainly get rid of, as I say, that tartness on the raspberry and that alcoholic taste as well. You know, so I feel like the dark chocolate's kind of lost there. If there is really a dark chocolate taste, and as I say, I'm not quite sure. You know, if there really is a dark chocolate there, there's something there that's dark anyway. But anyway, but as I say, it's a soft centre, more like an actual, yeah. Well, ganache, I guess. It seems to have two sort of ganaches in there. I'm not really sure what's going on there. But either way, I think that's actually quite nice, that one. I think it's pretty good. Yeah, I don't think it's going to sort of, you know, blow your socks off as such, but it's not too far away. I think for me it's a 4 out of 5, that one. I actually quite like that. I think that's a really nice nice tasting chocolate. You know, I wouldn't have said that was... Obviously, the alcohol side of it aside, you know, if you got one from Hotel Chocolat, I think you probably ploughed with alcohol, and it would be like, you know, I don't know, really some really posh alcohol or something, I don't know, or supposedly. I think this one, you know, assuming there is meant to be alcohol in there, as I said, I'm not really a massive alcohol expert, but I get the impression that's the case. There is, you know, I don't think it's really got that alcohol hit that normal alcohol chocolates have, but for me that's perfect. I think it actually works a lot better for it, really. Yeah, I like that. I think it's a nice one. 4 out of 5. No, I like that. It looks good. Other than the bottom, it seems a bit untidy, but from the top it looks quite nice. And yeah, I think other than that bottom part, I don't think you'd really, well, maybe the alcohol taste is missing a bit. I don't think you'd really be think you'd got a chocolate that wasn't too much quality there. So yeah, I'm happy with that one. I'll just organise myself. Right, okay. Right, so what have we got next then? The dark chocolate mousse. Now this one looks very nice as well, so we'll just, what should I do? Let's have a see. Does it look nice? Let's have a look. Which one is it in this section? Okay, well, all right. I'll move the camera down so we can sort of have a look at them again. I'm not sure which one the dark chocolate mousse is in this selection. Actually, I can't quite. Okay, right. I think there's a bit of. I think it doesn't quite look like it does on that thing here. So let's have a look. All right. Okay, it looks to have a reddy colour. I think that might be my camera actually. If you look at it there, it looks a bit reddy in the top right corner. As in has a bit of red on it. But if you look at it on the box. Yeah, it's basically my lights are making the brown look a bit red. So it's actually this one here, which explains it a bit more. Yeah, so there we go, dark chocolate mousse. Now this one looks very interesting. So again, actually this one, I think the bottom's not too bad. I mean, I feel like the thing with these ones, I think that they've not coated the bottom in the same colour as the outer side, and for whatever reason, probably in the way they've made, and presumably to make them a bit cheaper, I don't know. But in this case, I don't mind that. I think that looks all right. I quite like that one. Yeah, you know. So perhaps it is a way they save money to not overly sort of enrobe the whole thing or whatever. But overall, I think that's not too bad. I mean, what's the description of this one? Dark chocolate mousse. Right, so it's a bit of an odd one. This is a this is a milk and white chocolate selection, and we've got one called dark chocolate mousse. So why not call it just a milk white and dark? But it's odd, this one, isn't it? So maybe this mousse in this one is what we got in the other one in the clear Royale. So we'll find out. Indulgent dark chocolate mousse covered with white chocolate, decorated with milk chocolate drizzle and coffee flavoured flakes. Well, this definitely sounds nice. I mean, I'm definitely interested in this one. Just see, did I turn the? Just check the colour a second. It might be a bit too bright. Okay, perhaps a bit better. Okay, yes, it looks very nice. Coffee flavoured flake. I don't think you would say they were coffee. They look a bit more toffee-like, don't they? Really, it did say coffee, didn't it? It didn't say toffee. Yeah, it did. Okay. All right. Well, you know, I'll say it doesn't strike me as a coffee. I mean, not there's anything wrong with it, but it doesn't look coffee-like, does it? To an extent, it looks more caramel. All this, really. But that looks very nice. The flakes stuck to the bottom of it. I mean, that looks pretty good. There's nothing cheap looking about this one at all, really. I mean, there's no. I mean, maybe the bottom you could argue, maybe. I'm still not too disappointed with that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. All right, let's give it a bit of a measure then. Measure the diameter at the bottom. It does kind of dip in a bit at the bottom as well. It kind of widest in the middle almost. We'll give both a measure anyway. So roughly at the bottom, roughly 3.1. In the middle, roughly. Oh, hang on. Well, it's definitely not small in the middle. 3.2, there we go. Right, and then, well, I don't know. I can't well, I'll try to measure at the top. Sort of. About 2.7, but it's not right at the top of that. So you can clearly see it's going thin at the top, but that would be the case anyway with a half a sphere or whatever shape it is. Okay. And then the height. Well, the height's got knobbly bits on the top, so we'll have to we'll take those into account as well. Hard not to. Height is about 2.6. Right. Okay. Let's give it a chop down the middle. Right. Well, what I'm worried about here is when I press on the top, it will just squish it down a bit, but I don't think there's much to be done. Okay, that's broke a bit, really. All right. Well, okay, interesting. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll just hold half of it. So, okay, not sure what to make of this one because I'm sure it's a dark chocolate ganache. Indulgent dark chocolate mousse. Now, it doesn't look like dark chocolate mousse to me. I mean, I'm no dark chocolate expert, but I've seen dark chocolate before, and generally it looks like dark chocolate. And that one doesn't look like dark chocolate at all. I would describe that as a milk chocolate mousse if I looked at it, you know, and you had to tell me what kind of chocolate it was in there. But you know, who knows? We'll find out, I guess, if it tastes like dark chocolate. But as I say, the bottom does have a bit of a bottom of dark chocolate again, but it's definitely a different sensor that was in the Kir Royale, so it's not the same thing. So again, it's got a mousse in the middle. It's not a praline. I mean, I guess a mousse you could argue is something not too dissimilar to a praline in the texture and things, but yeah, I'm trying to get it to focus in a bit better. It doesn't seem to want to, but there you go. You get the gist of it anyway. So I'll just lift this up a bit. There we go. Because it's not really bubbly as such, but my knife has gone through it. It's not the sharpest knife, so maybe it would have been a bit bubblier had the knife not gone through. It does come across as a bit moussey, actually. Alright. Well, it looks very interesting, this one. Didn't tell you what the drizzle is on top, or did it? I had to say mousse, yeah, covered with milk chocolate, decorated with milk chocolate drizzle. Alright. Well, this milk chocolate looks to be very milky. I mean, it looks more caramel-like, really. I mean, in hand, more so than it does on the picture. But nonetheless, all right, okay. That's very light colours, this one. I don't know. It seems too light for what it should be, what it's described as. But it's okay. Let's lift myself up and give it a taste. Especially the dark chocolate mousse. I mean, it really doesn't come across as a dark chocolate mousse. I mean, not to say it isn't, but it doesn't. It doesn't look like a dark chocolate mousse. Okay. Right. So let's just adjust the. Okay, we're back on track. Right. Okay. So let's give this a taste. Then we'll taste the other half. That's more broken in bits, but there we go. All right, let's give this a go. Let's give it a taste. Well, odd one, this one. It does taste like a mousse. But I feel like mousse should be a bit more cold. It should be out of the fridge or something. It comes across as a bit of a warm. If you had a mousse from mousse, a bit of like an aerated yogurt, sort of a bit thicker. Not quite yogurt really. I don't know what a mousse generally is, but it's a bit like a thicker yogurt, isn't it? But with it's been aerated or whatever. Usually chocolate and things like this, so it's not really the same thing, but it's that kind of dessert. Yeah, but if you left it out, really, I feel like it would taste like this. So I'm not sure. I think this one's not really as good as it's perhaps intended to be. I think you need to probably refrigerate this one to get the most out of it. I don't think really you'd be expecting to do that. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, this one, and especially the description as well. I'm not really getting any of the flavours that it's mentioning on this. I mean, it's called dark chocolate mousse, which is odd. Again, it's in a white and milk chocolate selection, so I don't know what it's doing here. I don't feel like it is a dark chocolate mousse either. As I say, not to say it isn't, but it doesn't in any way taste like one. Well, the dark chocolate part. Indulgent dark chocolate mousse. Well, it didn't taste like dark chocolate, let's put it that way. But again, a mousse, whatever's done to a mousse, you could say would dilute the flavour. But even so, I still expect it to have a bit of a rich taste to it, and it doesn't. Covered with white chocolate, decorated with milk chocolate drizzle and coffee flavoured flakes. Well, the milk chocolate drizzle, I mean, it's too. There's no way I can detect that taste. It's covered in white chocolate. Now, possibly that's a bit more likely to be tasted, but again, the mousse is so sort of, it's quite creamy, really. To be honest with you, for want of a better term, which obviously works against the white chocolate. So the white chocolate's kind of there, but again, not really. It's not really. Again, it's almost like paying lip service to the white chocolate, which is often the case in these chocolate selections. Whenever they have white chocolate in, it's very rare that you get something that just really is dedicated to the white chocolate. Have like a white chocolate cover, but then have something in the middle that will totally overshadow the white chocolate flavour. And again, this one sort of has it. Again, really. Well, it definitely has it. I mean, it's intended to be dark chocolate, and it's so that would clearly work against the white chocolate, and it definitely would be more dark chocolate flavour in that if it was. Well, if it really tasted of dark chocolate. So again, it's not really a white chocolate other than the fact that it's covered in it, so it makes it look as though it is. But yeah, I don't know quite what to make of this. And the coffee flavour as well, coffee flavoured flakes. I didn't get any coffee taste at all. And you don't need a massive piece of something to make it have a quite strong coffee taste. We've seen these in other chocolates. You have little bits on top, or like a chocolate nubbin or nib or whatever they call it. And they're quite strong. This just really, it doesn't look like coffee, which is the first warning sign. It really doesn't look like coffee at all. It really looks, I don't know, it looks more like caramel or toffee. It doesn't taste like that either. It tastes more like that than coffee. So yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, this one. It doesn't really taste of anything it's meant to, other than maybe the white chocolate. But again, that flavour's like lost, I would say, with the mousse sensor, which I would describe as a milk chocolate mousse. And I think I would, that's what I would describe it as. And it looks like a milk chocolate mousse. There's a bit of a base there as well, which is presumably dark chocolate, but it's quite thin. You don't get much of that. It's a bit like the white chocolate, really. So, a bit of a funny one, this one. It's not that great a chocolate, to be honest with you. It's not horrible or anything. It's just really, I don't know. It doesn't achieve anything it sets out to. It looks nice though. I was impressed with the way it looked. I don't know. It's difficult sometimes with these chocolates. What to think. I've sometimes, obviously, the standards change with my ratings, because obviously the more chocolate I have, the more the average shifts. So the average chocolate for me is a 3 out of 5, which is a nice chocolate but nothing special. So obviously this is definitely below average, so it immediately makes it probably a 2. But the fact is, there's no real flavour there, and I feel like a below average chocolate still should have something. But this one, I don't really feel like it has particularly anything. But then, so that's 1 out of 5 is kind of where something's just not very nice. It's, I don't really do half marks or 0 marks. So 1 is kind of the lowest. That's where something, it just isn't. It doesn't taste nice. This one doesn't taste horrible or anything, but there's just nothing really there. So it definitely feels like it can't be. It's between it's like a 1.5 or a 2. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have this to see. It's okay. It's made that mousse filling. I just feel it's not a suitable filling. It just feels like it should be refrigerated. It's just too. It feels like it's, as I say, a dessert from the fridge that's just been left out. It does have a weird sort of fruity taste to it, sort of, to an extent. I don't know where that's come from. Don't know what fruit it is either. It just has something there. But no, I think I'm going to say 1.5 out of 5. I think it's just a badly designed one, that one. I just don't think it's really... I just have to say, it feels like a dessert that's been left out of the fridge, in a sense, and I don't think that's a good thing. It doesn't taste horrible. It just doesn't taste right. You know what I mean? So I think 1.5 out of 5 is probably. I think that's the definition of a 1.5 out of 5. It just doesn't work. It just isn't. It's not unpleasant, but it's just not pleasant either. Yeah, you agree. Yeah, well done on the outside. Yeah, it looked good on the outside actually. It did look pretty good on the outside, I must say. Yeah, you're right there, Joe. I mean, it did look the part, but yeah, didn't taste the part. Very unusual chocolate there. I think just a bit of a missed, bit of a, I don't know. Yeah, not really well thought out, that one. And it's just that it wasn't dark chocolate at all either. You know, so it's meant to be dark chocolate, but it just wasn't. It wasn't dark chocolate, so that was another thing. Yeah, unusual on that one. Okay. All right. Well, onward and upward, hopefully. Speculoos this time. Just called Speculoos. So, what does it say? Milk chocolate cupcake filled with crunchy speculoos topped with caramelised nuts and a white chocolate base. They haven't heard of commas. Oh, they do use a comma in the Royale. All right. Well, yeah, I don't know if they're trying to save money on the typeface. I'm not using commas, but okay, yeah, milk chocolate cupcake filled with crunchy speculoos topped with caramelised nuts and a white chocolate base. So we've got this base again, so I don't know, we'll see what that means again. It's got that weird bottom that doesn't quite look that great. Crunchy speculoos, okay, that's not bad. Caramelised nuts, all right. Okay, so it's got like a bit of a brittle inside. Milk chocolate cupcake, all right, okay. So what have we got? Let's have a look at it. Where is it? Again, it looks quite light on that cover there, but in reality. Quite. So no, I think it's just the camera that was on it. You can see there the lighting. You can see there if I hold it down there a bit away from the light, it looks a bit darker. Just the room's lit up quite well, but in hand it doesn't look quite as light as that. It does look a bit more like this. So yeah, so we can see here it has got that sort of this attempt at a base here. I think they should have just not bothered with these bases. I think. Let's just move myself down a bit so I can look at it a bit better. But yeah, these attempt at bases, I don't know. I'm not convinced they've added much to them, especially when they're not really a proper base. They're kind of it's just as if it's been not even dipped. It's not even been dipped in it. It's literally as if it's been sat there, and then the white chocolate's been sort of swooshed around it, you know. And that's how they've done it really. And it's not really added to it, I don't think. I think it would have just been better to not bother with that base like they did with the other one. I think it's just made it look a bit cheaper, and I don't think that would really add anything to the chocolate. So they could have, you know, yeah, they shouldn't have bothered with that really. Okay, right. So let's have a look then. So let's have a see. So let's give it a bit of a measure. Right. So it's yeah, well, odd one. We'll do the diameter at the bottom. Obviously, it does have that base. 2.1. Let's have a look. Let's try again. Yeah, about 3 centimeters at the bottom. It can depend slightly, but yeah, it's a bit of a funny shape to measure because obviously it's got these frills. But it's roughly about 3.1 centimeters, maybe 3. Yeah, you go between the frills. Can't measure it. Yeah, about 3. Can be as much as 3.2 if you get it just right. Maybe almost 3.3, but okay. And the height. Obviously, it's got a bit of a dip, about 3 millimeters, but bear that in mind. About 1.8, maybe 1.9, about 1.8. Okay, centimeters. Right, okay, let's give it a bit of a chop then. Right, we can see let's have a look at it before I do actually a better look. It's a bit of an up close look. So you can see there it's got that sort of, what did it describe? Was it chopped nuts or whatever? Caramelised nuts on the top. And the speculoos pieces are inside. An interesting one. I don't know what nuts are, but I assume it's probably chopped hazelnuts. Again, seems to have to lift the plate up to make it focus in. I don't know why that is, but there we go. Maybe cover up the knife. Yeah, there we are. Alright, look okay. It's alright. Again, I think just the base just didn't need to be there, and it's cheaper in the look of it. I don't know, I think it's just a misguided attempt at trying to add something that didn't really need to be done. Alright, let's see. Okay, so quite a won't say a tough cut, but there we go. So it's not bad. You can see there it's got like a speculoos filling, or what looks to be a bit speculoos anyway. That sort of fluffy centre, but then the topper as well. It's quite nice. And again, it won't focus in until perhaps I lift the plate up. Even then, maybe not. Don't know. Maybe because it's focusing on the knife. Let's just move that away. Yeah, there we go, a bit better. Yeah. So you can see there's two layers there. You can see clearly there's like a topper layer. Yeah. Chocolate cupcake filled with creamy speculoos topped with a caramelised. Well, it doesn't really say what the top is actually. So I don't know what the difference is there. It doesn't really say, just it's got a speculoos centre. But then, there's obviously two things there. I'm not sure. Alright. Let's just have a quick check. Milk chocolate cupcake filled with crunchy speculoos topped with caramelised nuts and a white chocolate base. So I'm not sure what those different layers are, but we'll give it a taste to find out. So let's lift myself up. Give it a go. So an interesting set so far. I feel like perhaps tried to overextended themselves a bit with those bases. This dark chocolate one and milk chocolate one. I just don't feel they needed to do that. They don't seem to add anything to it. They make it look a bit cheaper. Don't know, unusual, but I mean, it's not an expensive set, but nonetheless, it doesn't mean less is more sometimes, as they say, and I think that's a good example of it there. I mean, you can see the white chocolate just isn't really worth the time. I mean, look how thick it is. It's just not thick at all. It's very thin. You can see through it in some cases. So yeah. All right, okay. Let's give it a taste. See what it's like. Let's do it. Not bad. Not bad. It definitely tastes as speculoos. It's got that sort of kind of nutmeggy, cinnamony type taste to it, and it's definitely there. A sort of Lebkuchen-y type taste. Not bad actually. It's a bit of a thick scent. It feels like very much a, I don't know, like a sort of, what do you say? A bit more moussey actually. This tastes a bit like, I don't know, like an acceptable. I mean, I say mousse. Like the other one was a literal, as if it had been a mousse left out of the fridge. This one tastes like what I'd expect a chocolate mousse to taste like. It's a bit like thick. It's a bit like a sort of thinner Reese's cupcake filling almost. It's like as if that was sort of Reese's quite a sort of thick powdery filling for Reese's cups, peanut butter cups. This one tastes a bit like, the consistency is a bit like that, as if it wasn't quite as powdery. Best way I can describe it. It's still got a bit of powderiness to it, and obviously crunchy speculoos pieces. I actually think this is quite nice. Actually, this one. I think it does suffer from the fact that it is again that typical centre that's kind of a bit praline-y, noisette-y, that sort of filling. But as I say, because it tastes a bit like a less thick or less powdery Reese's peanut butter cup filling, which is actually quite nice. It goes a bit, it's not quite the same. It's a bit of a nicer filling, a bit more of an interesting filling than just the typical truffly praline filling, which I'm just kind of sick of, really. Just taste it all the time in these chocolate selections. This one's a bit different. Nonetheless, it's not a million miles away from it, so don't expect to have your socks blown off with this one. But it is nice. It does the job, really. This one, it's basically what you'd expect, and it's actually quite nice. It's got a few different textures in it. I like the texture on the top. I like the as I say, the sort of like the speculoos centre with the little crunchy bits in there. I think it actually tastes quite nice, and it tastes like speculoos. It doesn't taste, it basically does exactly what it should do, and it's a pretty good taste actually. It's just lacking in anything that's going to blow your socks off. It's not really got anything unexpected in there. You know what I mean? It just tastes as it should do, really. But as I say, the white chocolate part is just a waste of time. I definitely couldn't taste any white chocolate at all. Milk chocolate, I've not mentioned the milk chocolate too much in these. It basically is all around the centres, really. You don't really taste the milk chocolate too much. It's there, but largely just as a vessel to hold, the centre, really. I don't feel like I really taste the milk chocolate. It's okay. It's nothing. It's just there to be there, really. It's more about the centres in this case, and I'm thinking a couple of the others. I think this one's all right, really. I don't think I can quite give it a 4 out of 5. I mean, it's definitely on its way there, but I don't know. I feel like if you had a bit more interest about it, it might be a bit of a 4. The centre was a bit more interesting. It wasn't just a typical, but it's not. But it is going that way. So don't know. I'm not sure really. It doesn't feel quite right to give it 4 out of 5, but it's not. It's probably it's not a bad one. But yeah, it definitely wasn't as good as that Royale one. So I think it's a 3.5 out of 5. I think it's not bad, that one. It does what it does, and it does it pretty well. And I'm definitely not disappointed having tasted that. I think it's come across pretty well actually, that one. Yeah, so 3.5 out of 5, I think. I must say, quite slightly more interesting than it otherwise would have been because of that sense of being a bit more, a bit more, not quite a sort of. Not just a praline, basically. They'd done something a bit interesting with it. It was a bit more powdery, so it had a bit more of a substance to it. You know, powdery makes it sound worse than it was. I just mean it was a bit more interesting. Yeah. All right, I'll tell you what. We're halfway through. Let's open this. Yes, cream egg. See if we've won loads of money. So you know. Well, I think I'll say it's from Iceland, this one. So I believe the max price from Iceland is £1,000, but I still won't complain at that. So we need a drum roll. Let's see. Do we have a drum roll? We might have a drum roll. I did use one the other day, but I might need to type it. Let's have a look. Can I find it now? Let's see. I might need to grab the keyboard here. Had someone on hand to. Yes, there we go. Yes, there we are. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. There we go. Got a bit of a drum roll there. All right, let's see how we do. Okay, right, let's have a look. So I want to obviously, you know, if I open it, revealing both halves at once, it'll probably. You know, might make it a bit less interesting. So you can see the outer pattern here of the chocolate. So basically, you know, this is one half. So the seam is kind of here. So I don't want to open it at the seam. I want to just display one half, basically, if I can. So we'll have a see if I can do that. I don't know if I can really. Let's try and open it slowly. You predict salted caramel and raspberry cheesecake will be the strongest. Well, it definitely sounds good. And salted caramel probably butterscotchy. Yeah. Yeah, you'd like it, I think. Yeah, yes. Well, all right. Fingers crossed then. Yeah. I mean, I'm hoping not, because I'm hoping this selection might be a bit more interesting than all the than just the Lindt ones, because I feel like it's just Lindt's policy to have that kind of salted caramel, maybe the more sort of, you know, high end chocolate selections. You know what I mean? And they don't quite. Yeah, they sort of go on from that tangent. I'm hoping this one might be a bit different, but yeah, we'll see. All right. Well, we've got. Milk chocolate there, so that's not a good sign. So the odds of the odds are quite less, or fewer or smaller, whatever, than they would have been. All right, well there we go. So we've got one half, so it's kept it interesting. We've got a bit of suspense here. You never know. So this is why this is my theory as to why they've done it. They've done it half and half rather than just a whole white one like they did last year. Because if they did it where it was all white, you could have just opened it slightly, which is what people were doing, I believe. And then, you know, and then basically leaving it. Whereas if it could be the other half, then you'd still not know if you'd won. So I believe that's the reason they've done it. I mean, it makes sense to me anyway. Well, I don't think we've won, but let's have a look. You never know. Yeah. Nope. Surprise, surprise. I think there's only like 160, 170 eggs in the whole country that give prizes. Probably only 6 of those, I think, are £10,000 ones. So the odds are quite slim. Let's put it that way. But we didn't win. But we got a cream egg, I guess. Rick would be happy. So there we are. So what can we say? Oh well. Better luck next time. You never know. Is that cream egg or anatomy? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, I know. They are a bit small. I wonder if you could fake half white and half milk one in some elaborate chocolate moulding plot. What do you mean myself for the presentation, or you mean well, possibly, yeah, that would definitely be a way to get viewers, wouldn't it? You know. I'll win one every week, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what they did. Yeah, it's been interesting. I think I'm assuming, because I read, I mean, whether this is right or not, but because I read that different shops are eligible for different cash prizes, I believe there must be a barcode or something on it. In the wrapper or something. I'm not sure. I don't really know, but I assume so, because I don't know how they would know the difference between like an Iceland one and an Asda one otherwise, unless literally the barcodes. Well, I can't even see that. I don't know. I'm not too sure. So that was the reason why I doubted whether there was a difference in the supermarkets offering different prizes. But that's what the website said anyway. So yeah. Yeah. All right. So what have we got next? Hazelnut cream. I was going to say dream then. Hazelnut creams. Let's have a see. So this one will be one I think will be the most mundane in the set. Basically, I realised the dark chocolate mousse wasn't great, but it wasn't mundane. Cream hazelnut filling in a milk chocolate cup with white chocolate base. So it's got the white chocolate base again, so we know what that's about. It's not really a base at all. It's just I don't know, an accidental covering of white chocolate, really, if anything. So which one is this one? Let me find it. I'll tell you what, though, actually, in hand it looks a lot better than it does on the menu there. It looks a lot more interesting, but again, you know, you've got this base that just doesn't add to it at all. It really makes it feel cheaper having that bottom. It just really detracts from it. It just makes it feel a bit like it feels cheaper as well because it's got like a lump at the bottom. It doesn't feel as sleek. It just doesn't feel as interesting. I mean, of course, I don't know. I don't know what it would look like without that base, but I don't think it would look any worse. Just think it just makes it look a bit cheap. You know, I don't think it would look that way otherwise. Yeah. Yes, I'd like to try a fully white cream egg. It would be really sure. I think it would be great if they did that. You know, I can understand why they probably aren't because they obviously, for many reasons, well, for some reasons, one of them probably so that the people don't try and claim it's from a prize or something. So they might have shot themselves in the foot there. But also probably because it's just more effort for them to make, really. But then I guess they are doing these ones for this competition. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it'd be nice to try it though. It would be nice. Yeah, hopefully one day. This one as well, it'd be quite, you know, you wouldn't want to eat the one. If you did win the competition at half and half, you wouldn't really want to eat it because it'd be, you feel like it, you know, it's so rare. Yeah. Okay, let's see. As I say, this one, yeah, looks great on top. If you look at it from the top in the selection, you think great. Then you pick it up and you think, oh, hang on, and then you look at it, it's like, oh. So I just feel like they've, yeah, I don't know, it's just a stupid idea. Whoever decided to do this. You see what they've probably done as well. They've probably just maybe to save money. They've done them all at once as well. So they've included this one in the same vat as the other ones with a white chocolate base, so they can do it all at once. So rather than integrate it, they just put them all and save money by doing them en masse. You know, so that's probably something they've done. Which again is another, you know, probably I'm just speculating. That's probably why it's a cheaper chocolate as well, able to do it cheaper. 3 centimeters, but I just wouldn't have bothered. You know, just wouldn't have bothered. 3 centimeters in width. In height, 2.2, 2 to 2, and then width at the top roughly about 3.1. What was it at the bottom again? About 3.1, yeah, about the same. Okay, it does feel like it's a bit wider at the top in some places. I think one bit does stick out a bit, but that's not where I measured it. So it's just a bit of a abnormality part. So it looks very interesting. I mean, yeah, just keep forgetting what it said. What's the top part? Creamy hazelnut filling in a milk chocolate cup with a white chocolate base. It doesn't even tell you what the top is. You know what I mean? The descriptions are a bit poor of these. I've noticed they've got layers that they just don't describe. So I don't know what this top is. I mean, I assume it's like a milk chocolate sort of thing, but it doesn't look, well, I mean, that's milk chocolate on the edge, and it's obviously a different colour. So I don't really know what that is. So it doesn't give you full descriptions of these. I don't know if it's because it's a translation thing, because they're presumably made in Germany or whatever. I don't really know, or wherever it is, but mind you, having said that, it just looks to be an extension of the middle, so maybe that's why. I mean, it does say hazelnut cream, that's what it's called, so I guess you can just put 2 and 2 together. You know, it's not... But I mean, you'd assume in the description it would kind of tell you what was in it. But there we go. All right. Yeah. Well, I guess it does say hazelnut filling, so I'm talking rubbish there. Ignore me what I'm saying there. It does say creamy hazelnut filling. Okay, ignore me there. Yeah, talking a bit rubbish. All right, well, I'll let them off that one. My mistake. Okay, yeah, it's an interesting one, that. Yeah, very interesting. So it looks quite nice. Not very. I mean, it's not even a filling really. I think that was what threw me because it's not a filling. It's, well, I guess it's the filling of the cup. I guess normally you'd expect it to be sort of, I don't know, covered by something, but I guess in this case it's not. So fair enough. It is in a cup. You do fill a cup. So yeah, my presumptions there getting the better of me. Yeah, you'd rather have a white cream egg than a white... Yeah, definitely, Andrew. Those Oreo eggs, I'm just not impressed with them. I just don't like that Oreo filling. I definitely agree with you there, Andrew. The Oreo filling is just so... I just don't like it. I mean, I like Oreos, but that filling in those chocolates just never very nice. They just not executed well at all. Typical Mondelez. Never do I want... Well, there you go. Yeah, always the opposite, Andrew. Always the opposite. Want to save money, basically. I think. Or I don't know. Yeah. They seem to be a bit random sometimes, don't they? All right, well, let's give this one a taste. I think this is basically your very typical chocolate. This one, hazelnut praline, hazelnut, what have you. It's pretty much the typical hazelnut centre filling that you get in most chocolates. So I'm a bit, yeah, don't know, not too excited about this one, but we'll see. It looks interesting, as I say, other than that white chocolate nonsense about it. But let's give it a go. Yeah, tastes very much of a. It's one of those really. It tastes very, very typical. It's got your sort of typical hazelnut cream. It's that kind of taste. I don't really get any white chocolate there at all, or anything else really. I just get that hazelnut cream taste. It's very, very creamy. This one. It's very sort of. I mean, as you can probably imagine, it's literally just all hazelnut cream. So often in these chocolates, in other selections, when you get hazelnut cream filling, it's generally, it's quite prominent, but it's not that prominent. This one is really just literally just hazelnut cream. It's everything else about it is just a way of enabling you to pick it up, basically, rather than taste anything. So for that reason, I think that's not bad. It's not my cup of tea, really. I'm not really a massive hazelnut fan. I prefer just the chocolate cream. I don't really even like Nutella and things, and Kinder Buenos I do like, but the hazelnut taste doesn't really add anything to me. I'm just not that big of a fan of that taste, but I do like those, and I think they're very nice. In this one, though, it's a bit more about the hazelnut. It's a bit more, as I say, creamy as well. It's a bit more. I don't know. I'm not a fan of when centers are too creamy for me, or there's nothing else to accompany it. And this one is really just all about that hazelnut cream. So I think this is one where I can confidently say this one is a subjective one. It's not really. It's one where it doesn't really work for me. This one, but I can appreciate the fact that actually, if you really like that sort of filling, it would definitely be up your street and definitely be for you. And I reckon it would be a 4 out of 5 for such people, really. And I think wouldn't be higher than that because there's nothing else there. It's just very one note. But I think for me, it's not that high. I think it's probably, I don't know. Yeah, well, 3.5, 4. I think. I don't know. It can depend. I mean, it's one of those. It'd be 3.5, 4. I think for people who like that sort of centre. But I think you would be slightly less inclined towards it because there's nothing else. There's no like other texture. There's no other taste. You're literally just getting that hazelnut filling. So it's like getting, I don't know, just a bit of that filling on a spoon and eating it. You know what I mean? And that's not really what I don't think what a chocolate selection should be about. It should have more to it than that's more interest. So for me it's probably 3.5 or 4 if you like that. But for me, as I say, it's not really my kind of scent. It's too creamy for me. It's too hazelnutty for me, and there's nothing else to really counterbalance that, to make it work as far as I'm concerned. So I think for me it's probably, I don't know. Yes, maybe a year ago I might have given it a 3, but having tasted all the chocolates I taste at the moment, and the fact that I know what I know. I know kind of what a typical chocolate is in these selections and what isn't, and and I'm just and I know what I've tasted before quite often, and this, that, and the other, and I know what sort of makes them a bit more interesting. I think this one is a bit of a 2.5 out of 5. It's just slightly below average, really. I mean, don't forget the average chocolate 3 out of 5. It's still a nice chocolate. It just tastes like things you'd find all over the place. As far as chocolate selections are concerned, this one definitely does a bit of a step back because it's not really got anything else about it. But I kind of feel like that in a way that's a good thing about it, in a strange way. For those who really like that centre. And that's why I feel like it might be a 3.5, 4 for people who love that. But again, because of that, one-notedness to it, I don't think it could ever be more than that. But for me, as I say, it's just there's nothing else about it, so I don't really have. The interest for me is gone a bit. So that's why for me it's a bit below average. But I still think that doesn't mean it's not pleasant. As I say, 2.5, 2 out of 5 is just below average. And the average chocolate is quite nice, so as I say, it's nothing, it's just not as good as the average chocolate, really. So I think I've justified that one. I think, as I say, if you like that filling, as I say, I think it's a 3.5, 4 for sure, and I think I can safely say that'd be the case. You want Milky Bar cookies and cream egg in the style of the Cadbury. Yeah, that's a good idea, Andrew. Yeah, why don't they do that? I mean, it's I think we mentioned this, didn't we, the other day? I'm sure I was speaking to someone anyway. Like, why don't Milky Bar or Nestle make a Milky Bar egg and do things like this? I mean, bigger cookie pieces and some sort of white chocolate truffle. Well, exactly, yeah. Although, having said that, Andrew, I remember they did those, what were they called? The white chocolate, well, cookies and cream bites or whatever it were, Milky Bar cookies and cream bites. And I didn't really appreciate the white chocolate cream in that. It had like a sort of, what I imagined he'd put in the eggs. And I wasn't a bigger fan. It was better than the Oreo one. But I felt like it wasn't as good. It just wasn't as nice as the regular white chocolate, just a Milky Bar cookies and cream bar, really. So I don't know, but I feel, yeah, it would be nice, I think. But I was a bit disappointed with it, actually. But that's not to say others wouldn't be. So, but yeah, so I don't know. I feel like they could definitely do something. I think that might be interesting, actually. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else they could do, really. I don't know. I feel like there's definitely something they could do better than they are doing, I think. Unless they make Kit Kats, don't they? They could do like a milky, a Kit Kat egg as well, really. I think that'd be quite nice to do, some kind of, with, a bit of wafer in it. And I know they do the mini eggs or whatever they do, or they do something, don't they? But I mean, a proper one with, like, say, Kit Kat peanut butter egg, or, Kit Kat crunchy, chunky peanut butter egg, something like that. Something a bit more interesting, anyway. I don't know. But I feel definitely there's definitely some white chocolate concoction that they could do as far as Milky Bar's concerned, I think. Yeah, I guess they've got the mini eggs, haven't they? But I feel like there's definitely more they could do. I feel like if they did the cookies and cream mini egg, like I said, I'd like to them do a full size egg, but I feel it might be just too big, to bite into. But they could have it in halves. It comes in halves. I'm sure there was. I don't know if the Mars egg came in halves. I know it was different in each half, but I'm sure they could do something like that. I don't know. It'd be interesting. But like you say, maybe it'd just be too similar to the bar then. So maybe it's better that they do. What you're talking about, try to do that. I just wasn't too keen on when he did that in the in those bites. I just wasn't as keen on it, but who knows? Yeah, might work better in the egg. Yeah, interesting one. But yeah, they definitely should do something either way. They definitely should. And even if it was that cookies and cream filling, I'd still be better than nothing, I think. Right, so what have we got? Yes, so we'll maybe do the raspberry cheesecake last, because I think the salted caramel's a bit more of a standard one. The raspberry cheesecake does look the most interesting one. So salted caramel star, decorated milk chocolate star, bursting with salted caramel. Okay, so just got salted caramel in it, so we'll see whether it's a cream or not. I'm assuming it's a cream, but it might just be a salted caramel flavoured praline. But I think this one definitely looks nice, and there's no nonsense about this one. I mean, this one could literally be lifted from any other like an expensive Hotel Chocolat set. I think that looks really good, actually. And as I said, they've not tried to do anything stupid by dipping it in white chocolate for some reason. I think this one actually looks very nice. Yeah, I think this definitely could belong in a more expensive set for sure. Nothing cheap about looking about this one after some silly attempts to make it more interesting. Let's zoom down or move down. Let's give it a look. Okay, right. Okay, let's have a see. Adjust the camera, make it a bit sometimes it looks dark as it is, but it gets a bit lighter if I don't do it. So okay, there we are. Yes, I think Joe agrees with this one. Yeah, it does look, they've definitely less is more, as I say, and I think they've kept it nice, this one, kept it looking quality, and it does look a quality one. Just because of the nice colourings and things. I think they've just done a good job there. Just goes to show really that Hotel Chocolat do effects like that, and it clearly can be done. It doesn't cost them much to do if Lidl can do it in a set that doesn't cost much. All right, although obviously not done it with all the chocolates, but even so. Okay, so we'll try and measure this one. It's gonna be difficult. I'll do the highest point to the lowest point if I can in height. Difficult because it's a funny shape. About 1.9 centimeters in height, and the width. We'll do it. We'll do it from the top point. So the top point, there isn't really one. We'll do it from one of the points to the flat bottom part. So it kind of, all of that seems to be the case. So we'll do it from there. A bit difficult because it's a bit of a funny shape, as you can see. About 3 centimeters. I think that's probably a good way to do it. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's give it a chop down the middle. Let's see. So is it a runny caramel? Hoping so. Yes, it is. Well, yes. Okay, so got this one. It's kind of fallen apart a bit, which is good because look at that. You can see the centre just falling away. Yeah, look at that. So it's a very runny caramel. I think Andrew's probably right. It does look like a butterscotchy caramel to me. Either that or a chocolate caramel, but I don't think it's a chocolate caramel. So yeah, so yes, it does look very like a burnt. It's going to have a burnt taste to it by the looks of it. It's very dark. I don't think caramel should be made like that. I feel like it's. I'll say that is going towards butterscotch. I think when the like things like the Bake Off and stuff like this, when the caramel's a bit too dark, it's not really caramel. So I think it's a bit. I don't know if it's just a cultural thing, maybe in Germany or something. You just burn the caramel a bit more, leave it to cook for a bit longer. Chocolate my thumb. But for me, that's yeah. I don't think caramel should be that dark. It's just too. It's been left on too long for me. Unless it's a chocolate caramel, but I don't think it is. So yeah, it's probably going to be a more of a butterscotchy caramel, a bit more of a, let's say, one that's been on the stove for a bit too long, as far as I'm concerned. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean it's not nice. It just depends on what you think is nice for a caramel point of view. But for me, as I say, I think it's probably a bit too yeah, promising. Well, it does. It definitely's got the filling, that's for sure. As I say, I feel like it's going to be that burnt, typical, more burnty butterscotchy tasting caramel, which, as I say, for me, is when it's been left on a bit too long. But it does seem to be the case in Swiss chocolate or like German. Well, yeah, what do you say? Swiss German, yeah, chocolate seems to be that way. So you know, Lindt and things like this. It's German, isn't it? But where it's from anyway. I'm sure it's German, but yeah. I feel like it's probably Belgian now. But yeah, either way, from there anyway, it seems to be sort of like a similar case where you do seem to have the chocolates a bit like that. I don't think it's Lindt. It's Belgian Lindt, isn't it? I've forgotten now. It's just left my mind. Completely forgotten. Yeah. Belgian, isn't it, Lindt? I'm sure it's Belgian, isn't it? I was going to say German for a minute, but yeah, I think it's Belgian, isn't it? Oh dear, yeah. Let's have a quick check. It's going to be irritating me, that. I'm sure it's or is it German? Got the sprungly part, hasn't it? Let's have a look. Lindt, let's see. A Swiss, okay, yeah. So there you go. Yeah, I thought it just seemed a bit wrong when I said German, but then it seemed right to say Belgian. So Swiss, there we go. So that's the yeah. So I guess the same difference really, as far as what I was trying to say was concerned. It's just seems to be caramel made around there. Just seems to be a bit too. The recipe seems to just leave it on the stove a bit too long, as far as I'm concerned. But clearly, it's something they do. I'm not a chocolate caramel expert or anything, but there we go. All right, well, let's give it a taste. Let's see. Definitely is runny. I mean, you can see it there. Look at that. Very runny, doesn't it? Yeah. Perhaps I'll have the other one where it's a bit more. No, in fact, no, I'll have this one. Okay. All right, let's give it a go. Bit more of a subtle taste, actually. But yeah, It's a very bitter. It's actually actively bitter, this one. It's not bad though. It's different than the other ones. It's different again. I'd say it's not quite the same as the other ones. It's a bit more. I don't know. It's as if it's a bit more treacly almost. This one. I don't know. There's something a bit different about it than the ones that are in the typical like Lindt chocolate selection. It's definitely that way inclined though. It's definitely, yeah. I don't even know how you describe this one. It's got a very bitter taste to it. It's quite bitter. It's not sweet really, I would say. Yeah, it's definitely sort of. I wouldn't say it really has. It's not really. It's just bitter rather than burnt this time. It doesn't. It's, well, like, rather than sort of, as I say, butterscotch. It has a bit more of a sort of treacly taste to it. It's kind of a difference again, I'd say. But it's still that way inclined. It's still not sweet. It's still been, as I say, it's still as if it's been left on the stove just that little bit longer. As I say, I'm not really a massive caramel person as in how to make it. I'm not an expert on it rather. So I could be wrong with all this hypothesizing things, but that's the way I've always took it. Yeah, so it's all right though. I actually find it a bit more interesting than those ones in the Lindt selections. It's just got something a bit more different about it, and I think I prefer that taste. As I say though, it's not your typical caramel at all. Especially in the UK anyway. As I say, I think like the buttery one from Cadbury's Caramel, or the sort of sweet ones from the Golden Barrel and things like this in Roses. It's definitely, as I say, quite a bitter taste to it. It's an unusual. It's a different taste. It's better than the Lindt ones though. It's just a better taste actually. Let's just try the other. Just a bit more interesting. Yeah, it's quite butterscotchy, treacly. Yeah, it's a bit more. It's just a bit bitter. It's just a bit more bitter. So it comes across as I say a bit more treacly, but it's not a million miles away from the other ones. It's got that sort of. But it definitely is a bit. It's just different again. Definitely, as I say, a bit bitter. I think the taste is a bit bitter. It's obviously caramel still, so it's obviously sweet as such, but it tastes bitter really. Interesting one, yeah. Don't know, interesting. I feel like it's a more interesting flavour actually, as though it's quite similar, but it's more interesting than the Lindt ones. I actually prefer it. It's I wouldn't say it's my favourite caramel, but I like it. I feel there's a place for it. You know what I mean? I feel like I feel like it should be used as it feels more like it's like a flavour, if that makes sense. So if you imagine if you're making like I don't know what you'd say really. Let's say some kind of dessert with like a caramel in it that would be with fruit or caramel covered apples or something like that. You know, something a bit interesting. You know, if you're trying to make an interesting recipe, an interesting cake or something like this, and you wanted a decent caramel for it, I think this would accompany sweet tastes quite well, as I say, like a fruity centre or something. I don't know, covering fruit in caramel. So I don't know. It feels interesting. There's a flavour here that I quite like. I feel like it's perhaps maybe a bit much on its own, but this is definitely a caramel flavour that I think would work really well with other things. You know what I mean? There's definitely something of interest about this caramel flavour. And this is probably again why some of the other caramels have been a bit rubbish in some of these other selections, because they're so boring. Whereas this one kind of is actually quite interesting. Let's say it is quite bitter, and I don't know. I feel like it's one that could really be a bit more of an acquired taste. Actually, you know, the more you think, oh, I'm going to say, I actually quite fancy eating that again. I actually quite like this. I think it's quite nice. It's different. Like Andrew said before, it's definitely on that scale. You know, and you know, if there's sort of like this medium and sweet on this side, and then there's like bittery on this side. It's definitely well over here. Interesting one. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, Joe, exactly. With bananas, mangoes, other sweet fruit. Yes, I think you're definitely right. Bananas for sure, definitely. Yeah, I think you're right. It would taste very nice with those. I think it would be really suited. Yes. Yeah, it's definitely something that would work well with that, and I think it's a very interesting flavour. I actually quite like. I like this one. It's interesting. I feel like it could do something else being there really. But I actually quite like it. Yeah, I think it's a weird one. They've just got it just about right here. I think, as I say, in the Lindt ones where it's been a bit too runny. This one's quite thick as well. It's a thick chocolate, thick caramel. Got a bit on my plate here. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see if I can. You know, it's quite runny, but it's thicker. It's just slightly thicker, slightly more interesting. There's something more about it. They've just yeah. I don't know, by accident maybe, I don't know, but they've actually got it done quite well on this one. Yeah. It grows. It's one way it could really grow on you. I think if you had too much of it, it'd be too much. But it's definitely 3.5, 4. I think you know what I'm gonna. I think they've done it. I think they've done it right here. I think they've actually achieved a good caramel here, and they've got that. I think they've got the taste spot on really. I think like as I say, Lindt, even though it's a more expensive selection of things, and all these other ones have been quite similar branded ones, similar sort of companies. You know, they've done a sort of like a caramel. They've not quite achieved it. They've all been very similar. But this one, as I say, I think they've just got a step a bit further, and as I say, might be by accident, I don't know, but it actually come across a lot better, more interesting actually. And then the more I think about it, the more I kind of quite inclined to want more of it. Yeah. So I think for me, actually, yeah, I think it's a 4 out of 5 that one. I think it could have been a 3.5, but I think it's just yeah, I don't know. I think I can see potential there as well. I think maybe I've been a bit too over the top. Maybe it is more of a 3.5. I don't know, but I feel like it's I don't know. I feel like it's different again. It's not quite like the caramels I've had in other selections, basically. And I think that for me is what's bumps it up a bit over the edge. And I feel like if it was with if that was utilised properly with something interesting, and not just another mundane half attempt at making something interesting, you know, where it's just a truffle scent or something, you know, they actually did some kind of something nice and an interesting taste. I think you could really end up with something pretty special there. Just got to try and get this caramel off the plate now. But yeah, no, I really appreciated that one. Interesting, they've got it just about right. But I think, you know, it's one of those where, because it's a cheaper selection and things, I don't know how they've managed. I don't know whether it was an accident or whatever, whether they just not got quite the if they intended to have it like the Lindt ones, but because they don't know how to do it, or you know whatever, or it's cheaper to do it the way they did, and they've ended up with this one, but by accident or whatever, maybe it was a bit of serendipity or whatever, but they've actually come out with something better. So an interesting one, that one. So yeah, so interesting. So let's do the last one then. I think definitely seems to be not quite as exciting as on the back. And I'll show you one on the there's a knife falling over. I'll show you one on the back you can see it in the top right corner as well, but you can clearly see there's quite a lot of red on that. Raspberry cheesecake, decorated with decorated white chocolate filled with a fresh raspberry cheesecake filling. Very much white chocolate, well, raspberry bits on the side of them. But all of them, as I say, all sort of look like this. Really, just got a blob of sort of red on the side, you know, as opposed to mostly red. It could just be this set, but most of them are like this. You know, there's some of them a bit more blobby than others, but you know, generally more white than anything else. And so the third one, there's three of these ones. Again, it's just that one blob. So I don't mind it. You know, I guess if you looked at it from this angle, though, could argue that, you know, well, okay. But generally, I don't mind that. I feel like it maybe could do with a bit more. You know, just a slight bit more of that colour. You know, but it's not too bad. All right, so there we go. Yeah. Okay, let's zoom down then. Give this one a chop. Again, it doesn't look too bad. I just feel like, you know, maybe it's just not quite as good as it could have looked had it had a bit more of the red on it and a bit more of the pattern, but it's not bad. Okay, well, there we go. Flat bottom again. They're not doing anything stupid, so that's good. It doesn't look too bad. As I say, maybe not perfect. I mean, you know, as well as the sort of lacking. I think the size. There's something about the size of it. I think that's not quite premium, but I don't know. It's not bad. Okay, right. Let's have a look. Let's have a go at the diameter at the bottom. Okay, about 3.1, 3.2, maybe more towards 3.2. There isn't really a diameter at the top. I'll do the height at the very highest point, of course, 1.7. There is obviously this sort of weird crater or whatever it is there, plateau, so we'll measure it there as well. About 1 centimetre there. So it's gone from, was it 1. What it was before, let's have a see. 1.7? 1.6, I think. I don't know. I'm sure it was 1.7 before, but I'm measuring in the same place. Yeah, about 1.7. There you go. A bit higher this time. More towards 1. It can depend slightly on how you do it. The calipers, oh, there, 1.6. So yeah, they sort of squeeze in a bit. There's a bit of a lip at the bottom, you see. So it makes the calipers go off on an angle, so it's a bit difficult to get perfect. Yeah, it's about 1.6, I think. We'll go on that. Yeah, we've lost about 6 millimeters. Okay, right. So let's have a see. So what was the description again? Let's just remind ourselves, so when we chop it, we can see what we're expecting to see. Decorated white chocolate. Well, that's the decoration, which is the red colour, pink colour. Filled with a fresh raspberry cheesecake filling. Okay. Right. Let's give it a chop. A fresh raspberry cheesecake filling. There's actually a bit of splash on this one. You can see a bit closer actually. It's not all white chocolate. Not all white on it. There's a bit of a splash on it. Oh yeah, I think that's probably accidental there. Okay. Alright, well, that's interesting. That's very similar to the one we had the other week, I think, which had a bit of a sort of raspberry cheesecake filling. Was that one in the Aldi one? I think it was, wasn't it? Might have been. Okay, well, it's got that sort of that sort of typical. We've kind of seen it before in other chocolate selections. Sort of pink centre with freeze-dried raspberry pieces, a bit like the typical on the Royale one had those freeze-dried raspberry pieces on top. Guess it's similar. Chopped a bit more finely in this one, maybe in some cases. All right, I think basically it probably has that same filling that the Royale did. Maybe. Let's have a look. Cut, yeah. Maybe not actually. It's similar. But yeah, maybe it's slightly different actually. So yeah, okay. Maybe slightly differently. Maybe it's made with a similar foundation, but it's not the same. So interesting. Okay, that's good. A bit more variety there. Dropping chocolate everywhere. And again, can't pick it up. Okay. Right. All right. Well, okay. Let's step myself up. Give this one a taste. So it's an interesting one. I think we've probably tasted this one before in Eat and Mess type ones we've had before in other chocolate selections. As I say, I think that was what we had it in, wasn't it? It was a Christmas mess one we did not long ago. I think that's probably where I'm thinking of it as. Not sure. Well, we've seen this one before. It is quite a standard one in chocolate selections. This one, I think we know what roughly to expect, which is usually quite nice, usually quite interesting. Okay, let's give it a go. Quite bitty. I feel like the bits are maybe too big in places. just doesn't feel quite right on your teeth. It's okay. I feel like it tasted really nice when I first put it in my mouth. It was really nice, but I think it kind of went a bit. I don't know. Well, it's cheesecake, isn't it? I was going to say, okay, fair enough. It's the cheese. I was expecting just sort of thinking, oh, it's just white chocolate, gone a bit funny, but it is actually meant to be a cheesecake flavour. It does come across a bit like that, actually. It's a funny one. It's got like flavours might be a bit. I don't know. It's not quite perfect, basically. I think the flavours are just a bit. How can we describe them really? They're sort of. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's kind of like it's got quite a sharp taste for the fruity centre, the sort of raspberry centre, which is quite nice. And then the white chocolate's not bad at all. Actually, you can taste it, but then it kind of goes into sort of like a weird. I don't know. Sort of cheesecakey type taste, but isn't quite. And I'm not really sure what to make of it. I can't quite think how to describe it. It tastes a bit of a strange one. It's not unpleasant. It's just a bit odd. Yeah, it's not unpleasant. I mean, I think it's just a bit odd. It's a bit of an odd flavour. I don't think it really tastes like cheesecake as such, but it's an attempt at a cheesecakey flavour. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I think it's okay. Basically, I think it's a bit different. I think it's good in the fact that the chocolate's quite small, so I think you're not getting a ridiculous amount of it, and it's a bit overdone. I think it would, if it was a bit bigger a chocolate, I think it might be a bit too much. I quite like the sort of the tartiness of the sort of centre, the raspberry centre, and the white chocolate's not too bad. As I say, it starts off quite nice, but it just has a bit of an odd sort of crescendo, so to speak, of like a weird sort of flavour coming out that's kind of like a fake cheesecake flavour, and I'm not sure what to make of it. I don't really know. It tastes okay. It's just, I don't know. It's just a bit unusual. I'm not sure whether it's good or bad. I don't really know what it is. It's just there. You just mark it out as being a bit different, really. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not convinced it tastes particularly like a cheesecake, but it definitely tastes a bit different. It's not pleasant though. I don't dislike it, but I just don't know whether. I don't know whether it appeals to me. I don't really think, well, yeah, okay, I'd like to have that again. I don't really know. It's okay. I think I prefer like the Kir Royale one. I think I have a bit more of an interesting taste to it. I think this one's just got a bit of an odd, interesting taste. It's curious. It's like a bit of a curio. It's a bit of an interesting one. But I don't know. It's not unpleasant. It's just not. I don't know. It's just a bit. It's just weird. It's a weird chocolate. That one. A weird chocolate. Yeah, I don't know. It's not, as I say, I don't dislike it. I just don't know what to make of that, really. I can't really describe it. Say, if you imagine like a bit of a, sort of not quite right cheesecake flavour, that's kind of what you've got, really. And I don't mean it's not pleasant, it's just not quite right. It's all right, that one. The raspberry pieces were a bit thick in some places, so they kind of weren't very nice in my teeth, because I think... No, it wasn't the case with the Kir Royale one where it had the freeze-dried raspberry piece on top. I don't know, they kind of seem to work a bit better. Well, it didn't have the same impact anyway. Maybe because I'm biting into this one. It's just the way I'm eating it, because it's inside. I don't know, but it seemed more prominent on this one. There's only a couple of bigger bits in this one as well, as the Kir Royale one had quite a lot. So it's clearly some difference in this one, I would say, unless it was just very unlucky. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right, this one. It's all right. I just don't... Yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't quite right, I think, is the gist of it, and it's not unpleasant, but it wasn't quite right. I think I've definitely tasted some better attempts at a cheesecake variant, but sometimes though I don't know, they don't. The other ones have had sometimes have not really been that interested in themselves, or they've just not really gone all out in it, or they've done something silly, so, but they've generally a bit more of a better taste to them maybe, but this one's not bad. It's hard to describe. It's a hard one to pin down, really. Because it doesn't really taste of what it's meant to, but it has a taste that's nonetheless not too bad. But it's just a bit weird at the same time. So I don't know. I feel like the raspberry pot's quite nice. I feel like the freeze-dried bits in it, or whatever they are a bit too big in some places and getting your teeth. I wasn't too keen on that. The white chocolate's okay, but as I say, it sort of ends up having this weird taste to it. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like if this could be one, because it's so different. You could really like. Really, I think you could, just because it's so different. As I say, might be something so unusual that's actually to its benefit. But I think for me, I don't know. I think it's more the opposite way, really. I don't hate it or anything, but I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. It's not growing on me like perhaps say the that odd sort of different salted caramel taste did. You know, that one I thought, yeah, you know, that's the more I think about it, the more I have it in my mouth. It's really nice. Yeah. So I think for me, it's probably, I'll give it a slight benefit of the doubt by giving half a mark extra, but I think it's a 2.5 out of 5, that one. 2.5 out of 5. Not too bad. But yeah, you know, I don't know. I think it's one of those where, you know, they say individual results may vary, and I think that's probably a very similar case to this one. I think, you know, if you can really get by that odd taste to it, I think you probably get more out of it. But I think for me, it's just a bit too odd, and I think it's more on that side than the, you know, oh, it's so odd, it's good kind of side. Oh, and hi there, Matthew. How are you doing? Hope you're doing all right. Good to see you. Yeah, we're just near the end, basically. Just wrapping up this one. Yeah, you've missed it. We've just done the 6 chocolates. I'm now just going to wrap up really my overall thoughts on it. And it's been an interesting selection actually, Matthew. So I hope you're doing okay, and good to hear from you. Yeah, what do I think about this set then? Well, interesting. The price wise, I mean, you know, you can't hide the fact that the price is really good. I mean, I try not to bring price into it, but this is pretty much, you could get 4 of these pretty much for the price of a Hotel Chocolat H box. I don't think it's a million miles behind either, really. I don't think the Hotel Chocolat H boxes have been that great when I've had them. They've been okay, but I wouldn't say they're, you know, the 4 times as good as this one. I think they might be slightly better, but not massively so. You know, I say only slightly. I'm not too sure. I think this set's okay. I think the Royale one was very interesting because again, it's got that take on something a bit different, and they've actually put a lot more effort into that one than all the others. It was like about 3 different things. You know, so there's like quite distinct layers really. So it was quite nice. Yeah, so yeah, an interesting one. Not too bad. Yeah, do you have these in your Lidl? You say, Choco? Yeah, well, it could be. Basically, I think Lidl has them in some weeks and doesn't other weeks, and it might have been that they're a seasonal thing for around Christmas time. I'm not sure, but I did see them a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't see them again today when I went in. So they might just get them back in someday. They're a bit like that Lidl, I think. So you might just have to keep your eye out. But they're in like the weird sort of section where they just put everything in, you know. So they're not in the chocolate section, so you might have to look around the store basically. Yeah, hopefully you'll find them though. Hopefully you will. There's only 2 of them as far as I know, unless they release more of them. Yeah, so an interesting one. Yeah, keep your eye out anyway. But they weren't in mine today either, but they have been in the past. Yeah, so yeah, an interesting one. As I say, I don't know, the hazelnut cream one was very sort of normal, I think you'd say. It's very one you'd find in all selections, but that's, you know, again, you know, does mean it ties up with other selections that are much more expensive. The dark chocolate mousse was a low point because it didn't taste of dark chocolate, and it was like a mousse that had been left out of the fridge. Wasn't too keen on that one. The Speculoos one was good. It was pretty much as you'd expect it to be, and a good way of doing it as well. And the salted caramel one was nice. Very sort of distinctive caramel taste that normally I would have thought would be a bit too sort of much one way, more towards, let's say, the salted, you know, butterscotchy way. But it had a bit more of a treacly taste. It was quite bitter, quite interesting one. So overall, not a bad set really. As I say, here's going quite normal. Did I miss one out there? Raspberry cheesecake. Yeah, that last one we did, that was a bit. It was just a weird taste, that one, and it could be weird in a good way, but for me it wasn't particularly so. So yeah. So overall, not a bad set for the money. You know, definitely really good, But you know, I don't know. These chocolate selections are generally a bit of a funny one for me. I'm not too sure what to make of them. They're always a bit, you know. But I like the distribution in this one because there was only 3 of each. Because there was only 6 chocolates. You managed to get 3 of each for 3 of them, and 2 for others rather than 2 for some and 1 of others in the Hotel Chocolat one. So that was quite interesting as well. But obviously, you do lose out on the variety then. So I don't know. I was probably, yeah, I think it was slightly above average, but I feel like the ones that weren't that great brought it down a bit. So I'm probably going to stick with 3 out of 5. I think there was some good ones in there, but there were some not so good ones in there, and there were some quite mundane ones in there as well, you know, and a couple of mundane ones, you know. So I think we had 2 really good ones, 2 sort of, you know, middle of the road ones, and 2 not so sure about ones really, you know. So it was swings and roundabouts. Overall, you know, but for the money, again, you could probably add a star on for this if you want to take into account the fact that it was so cheap. But again, money's subjective, you know. But the fact that you could get 4 of these for 1 Hotel Chocolat one, it's probably worth bearing that in mind. And And you could argue that that does mean it should be, as I say, but generally the taste is what I'm going off really. But it is worth noting that it is so much cheaper than the others. So there is that. But yeah, I think 3 out of 5. I think that's probably about right. Average tasting selection, but as I say, the average chocolate is still nice, so bear that in mind. Some of these chocolates were better than others. I just think as an overall chocolate selection, I don't know, it was nice, and there was some good stuff in there, but there was no wow factor in it. There was nothing, and some of the chocolates looked a bit cheap as well when you looked in them a bit further. They're a bit silly with these bases that they tried to add. They were just a bit, I don't know, they were a bit daft in a couple of those ones. Like as I say, like this one here, trying to add like a white chocolate bottom. It's just pointless, and it just makes it look worse. And then there was one that tried to add a dark chocolate one, and again that made it look, again, just worse. Just didn't add to it at all. So I don't think it really had that sort of wow factor to it, or like a specialness to it really. But it still looked good. Still good. Yeah, I hope you like them, Chocolo. Let me know what you think as well. They were a good selection, really. And as I say, don't be put off by the fact of giving it 3 out of 5, because there was a couple of good ones in there, and as I say, some of them might depend on your particular tastes. But for me, myself, I think, I think a 3 out of 5 is probably about right. But if anything, it's more a 3.5 than a 3. I was going to attempt to give it a 3.5, and on another day I might have done. But I don't know. There was just something. I don't know what it was. I think it was just the fact that it was just some real sort of, I don't know, ones that just weren't interesting enough for me. I think the hazelnut cream one, well, if you love hazelnut cream, whatever, you might really love it, but I just felt it wasn't really enough there to make it that interesting. And the dark chocolate mousse, as I say, was very, it just wasn't pleasant. It wasn't a well thought out chocolate. And then the fact that any special, it was ruined by the look of them, by having these ones sort of half dipped in a chocolate and trying to make it sound like it was more than it was, and it just made them look a bit cheap. And and as I say, there's a few. There wasn't as many chocolates as in the different types as other selections, so there is that as well. And while that does mean you get more of each one, it does mean it does take away, gives one hand, takes away with the other, basically. I don't know. So if anything, it's a 3.5 out of 5. On another day, I might have stretched out to give it that, because it's, but I don't know. I feel like there was some things missing in this selection that other chocolate selections have, like an air of quality wasn't quite there as much, I don't think. And I think that's purely because of those sort of funny, daft dippages they'd done. I think there's just little things there that are not quite there, whereas you get it in a number of chocolate selections. I don't know. But as I say, but some chocolate selections like Milk Tray don't really have an air of quality about them, even though they don't do silly things like that. They just, don't know, it's just something a bit, that loses out in another way. These ones look good, but just for the most part, but just when you really inspect them, there's something a bit not quite right about them, But anyway, there we go. I think that's about it. But as I say, if anything, 3.5 out of 5 rather than a 2.5. But I feel I'll settle on the 3, I think. But it's close, actually. It is quite close. It could easily have been a 3.5 out of 5. So, there we are. I think some people, it definitely would be. So worth checking out, I think, and especially for the price. So there we go. 3 out of 5. Right, okay guys, well, I hope you enjoyed all that. Yeah, it's good to see you all again. Hope you're doing okay, Choco, and yes, Matthew as well, and Jow, of course, and Andrew if you're still about. Yeah, good to see you all. Hope you're all doing okay and having a great Saturday. Yeah, it's been a good one, this one. So we've got the other one to try and review next time maybe, but it'll be in the votes. This is a dark chocolate one, so similar affair, I guess. But yeah, looks very interesting. Egg liqueur, one of them is called, egg liqueur. That's an interesting one, I'm sure. Yeah, so interesting one. So anyway, that'll be in the vote. So check it out. Keep an eye out for the vote that we'll do. Probably add some more selections as well. We'll see how it goes anyway. But yeah, have a great day. Thanks for all your support, guys. As I say, I hope you enjoyed that review. Great to see you all. And there's a bit of a delay between when I click the button to stop the stream and it actually feeding through to you about 6 seconds. So you might have said something, unfortunately, I might have already stopped the stream. So apologies for that. It's not on purpose. But yeah, have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you next time. See you on Wednesday for Slash Watch. Bye for now, guys. Take care.